Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you with a weekend book haul. So the end of November book haul. I recently went and got my Christmas shopping done a month early. I was pretty proud of myself. Got my wife's shopping all done. And while I was out and about, I also went and got some books, of course, and I wanted to show you those books. I thought I did pretty good with this small book haul, and yeah. So let me show you what I got. So the first one that I picked up, and I think I only paid $1 for this, was The Death of Lincoln: A Picture History of the Assassination by Leroy Heyman. And this is a nice old copy. It's kind of a middle grade books, maybe even, well, I wouldn't say upper elementary. It's probably middle grade book. But this book, I've already read it. I read it the day after I got it, but it does a very nice job of going back through and looking at the Lincoln assassination and puts it into a very readable, understandable story for middle grade readers. And so I was really happy to pick this up. This will not be going into my classroom library. It'll be going into my Lincoln collection. But this particular copy is the third printing from April of 1971, and it is a Scholastic Books out of New York. But I thought they did a really good job of summarizing the assassination and everything that went on that day. And it gives kind of a end of the war wrap up before it heads into that last week of Lincoln's life. And then it does a really nice job of chasing down John Wilkes Booth, and then the funeral carriage or the funeral train as it took Lincoln back to Springfield. So anyway, good book. Only spent $1 on it. The next one is Rishi Lou and the French Monarchy by C.V. Wedgwood, excuse me. And I'm not sure if that's pronounced Rishi Lou or Ricky Lou. I have heard both of those on documentaries, and so I'm not really sure which one is correct. But anyway, I will be covering this in my world history class. And this is a nice short volume that I picked up. Again, only spent $1. And so I was real happy to get that. It's from Collier Books out of New York. It is, this is a 1962 printing. It looks like its first printing was from 1949. So the story itself does have a little bit of age, but that's okay. I'll take what I can get. Let me read this to you. It says, "It is the measure of Rishi Lou's greatness that it should be so difficult to imagine the growth of the French monarchy or the development of Europe in the 17th century without him. The cardinal was a personality so dominating and so impressive that in his lifetime, almost every event in Europe, however remote, would be ascribed to his secret interference. He was credited wrongly by the English with having provoked the Scots War of 1638 and 1640, and rightly by the Spaniards with organizing the Portuguese in the Catalan revolts of the same period. His spies and agents covered Europe no less than his police system covered France. In the imagination of his contemporaries, he was cunning spider seated, all-powerful in the midst of an enormous web of intrigue." And that comes from chapter 1 in the book. So the rest of the back cover says, "During the 18 years that Cardinal Rishi Lou served as first minister to King Louis XIII, the power of the monarchy in France was entrenched so firmly that it survived unshaken through the long, perilous minority of Louis XIV, who was less than a year old when his father died. During those 18 years of his influence, France became the foremost power in Europe and the fountainhead of European art. His administration produced profound changes that are still felt today in France and all of Europe. The account," says the author, "is not yet closed." And so I'm real happy to add that to the collection. Again, nice short book It's only, let's see, 155 pages, so it shouldn't take very long to get through it. So that'll just add to my world history classroom. The next volume that I picked up, again for just $1, was The Peculiar Institution, Slavery in the Antebellum South by Kenneth M. Stamp. And of course, Kenneth M. Stamp's he's a pretty big name author. And I was really happy to add this because I've been doing a lot of my book reading lately has been about slavery in the United States and ending the peculiar institution, as this book calls it. So I was real happy to add this to the collection and just add into what I've been reading lately. It's from Vintage Books out of New York, and this is a 1956 copy. So it's got a little bit of age, but some of these old studies of the antebellum South are still very worth reading. This will go, like I said, with my current readings. I've been reading Frederick Douglass biography by David Blight, and I've just read several books dealing with slavery and the antebellum South. So this will just go really well with those studies. Here's another book that I found. I think I paid a couple bucks for this one, but I was real happy to add it because I'm going to be doing a buddy read with Peg from the History Shelf in December. I believe we're still on for December, of Robert E. Lee. It's going to be his biography that just came out by Alan Gelzo. And so I picked up this book thinking it would go along really well with that. And it is Reading the Man, a portrait of Robert E. Lee through his private letters by Elizabeth Brown Pryor. And so I was real happy to add this and thinking that this would be a good way to supplement that biography by Alan Gelzo. This is let's see here, from Penguin Books, and it is 2007. So, fairly new when you're talking my used book collection. This is a fairly new one. So let me read the back cover to you. It says, a tantalizing biography of the legendary Civil War hero, his life through his letters. Robert E. Lee is remembered by history as a tragic figure, stoic and brave, but distant and enigmatic. Recently, however, historian Elizabeth Brown Pryor uncovered important documents that provide a stunning personal account of Lee's military ability, his beliefs, and his time. Excuse me. Using dozens of previously unpublished letters as departure points, Pryor sheds new light on every aspect of the complex, contradictory general's life story. Explained for the first time in the context of the young United States' tumultuous societal developments, Lee's actions reveal a man forced to play a leading role in the formation of the nation at the cost of his private happiness. So this will be, I think, pretty interesting. It's kind of interesting that they say he's forced into it. I think everybody has choices in everything that they do. So we'll see how that gets tackled in this book. But I thought this would be a nice, supplementary reading for that Alan Gelzo biography. So I was real happy to pick that up. The next book, so those books I got at Books Revisited, and I also picked up a comic for $1 at Books Revisited, and this is one that I've never seen before. Dark Hawk, maybe you guys are familiar with that. This is issue number 8, and I just like this era of artwork. But I picked that up for $1. Thought I'd give it a try and throw it in with all my other comics. So all of those books I just showed you and that comic book I found at Books Revisited for like a total of $7. I was pretty happy with the cheap amount I paid there. The next 2 books that I picked up were from the Jesse James Outlet Mall. And the first one here is The Bedford Boys, and it's by Alex Kershaw. So The Bedford Boys, One American Town's Ultimate D-Day Sacrifice. It's by Alex Kershaw. And I have been actually looking at this book the last several times that I went into the Jesse James Outlet Mall, and I've kind of just put off buying it. It's from DeCapo Press, and it is 2003. I've put off buying this, but recently I read The First Wave by Alex Kershaw, and I really, really liked his writing. It's very, very, it flows very well. It's very easy to understand. He tells a really good story. And so I got to thinking, oh, the Bedford Boys, I'm pretty sure that was by Alex Kershaw. So I flipped the inside cover of The First Wave, shows all the books that he, has written at that point. And this was on the list. And so I was like, okay, next time I'm going to pick this up. And thankfully, when I went, it was there. And so my kids in the 7th grade are now going through World War II. And so I thought this would be an excellent book to read about D-Day. So, and I just finished the book, The First Wave, which was all about the D-Day, and very, very, very good. Highly recommend this author, Alex Kershaw. So real excited about that. The back cover, I'll go ahead and read that to you. Says, June 6, 1944, 19 boys from rural Bedford, Virginia, died in the first bloody minutes of D-Day. They were part of Company A of the 116th Regiment of the 29th Division and among the first wave of American soldiers to hit the beaches at Normandy. Later in the campaign, 3 more boys from this small Virginia community died of gunshot wounds. 22 sons of Bedford lost. It is the story one cannot easily forget and one that the families of Bedford will never forget. Here's the true and intimate story of these men and the friends and families they left behind. The story of one small American town that went to war and died on Omaha Beach. And so I suspect this could be a really good book. Kershaw does a really nice job of taking like a big event like D-Day and personalizing it and making you feel like the characters that are involved. And that's what he did with The First Wave, is he took several characters. A couple of them I had heard of before, and some of them I had not heard before. And he made me feel like I knew these guys. And so I'm real excited to read about this, because I think he'll probably do the same thing, and you'll get to know the Bedford Boys. So that was one of them. And then the last one from the Jesse James Outlet Mall that I picked up, and the last one for this book haul altogether, is The Pacific. Hell Was an Ocean Away by Hugh Ambrose. And so I'm real excited about this, because my wife and I were sitting on the couch the other night, and I had mentioned to her, we're getting ready to, we're going through World War II, and I would like to watch all of the Band of Brothers and then watch all of the Pacific, which I own both of the DVD sets. And so when I saw this book, The Pacific, that was like perfect. I was like, that'll go hand in hand with, what I'm watching on TV, obviously, and then it'll go hand in hand with my World War II unit. This is from Now Caliber, and it is from the year 2010. And so I was real excited to pick this up. It says, says The Pacific is an HBO miniseries presentation of a Playtone and DreamWorks production, executive produced by Tom Hanks. Okay, I'm going to skip to the inside cover, because that just gives you a bunch of basic stuff. Let's read the inside cover. It says, Sidney C. Phillips, an easygoing Alabama teenager, enlisted along with a buddy, Manila John Basilone, was the son of immigrants who found happiness in the rough and ready life of a Marine. Eugene B. Sledge watched his best friend and his brother go off to war, and finally rebelled against his parents to follow them. Shifty Schaffner was the Sean of a prominent family with a long record of military service. Ensign Vernon Michael left the family farm to complete flight school. Between America's retreat from China in late 1941 and the moment that MacArthur's plane landed in Japan in August of 1945, these 5 men fought many of the key battles of the war in the Pacific. Here, Hugh Ambrose focuses on their real-life experiences and those of their fellow servicemen, enhancing and expanding upon the story told in the HBO miniseries. Covering nearly 4 years of combat and unprecedented access to military records, letters, journals, memoirs, photographs, and interviews, this volume offers a unique historical perspective on the war against Japan, from the debacle in Bataan to the miracle at Midway, the relentless vortex of Guadalcanal, the black terraces of Iwo Jima, and the killing fields of Okinawa, and ultimately the triumph, yet uneasy, return home. These are the true stories of the men who put their lives on the line for our country, who were dispatched to the other side of the world to fight an enemy who preferred suicide to surrender, men who suffered hardship and humiliation in POW camps, men who witnessed casualties among soldier and civilian alike, and men whose medals came at a shocking price, a price paid in full by all. And so this I'm really excited to read because I really enjoyed the HBO series. And if you've never seen it, you ought to give it a try. I will warn you, it is very graphic and very what I would call realistic. And it was so realistic that I did not want my wife's grandfather to watch that, because he was in the Pacific and experienced some of that, and I did not recommend him to see it just because of how realistic it was. So I'm really excited to pick up this book. It's got lots of photos of the people involved. God, lots of just photos from the combat itself, from the landings. It's just got a lot of great photos in it, and I'm really excited about this. I think that's going to go really well with the HBO series. So anyway, BookTube, this has been my book haul. I thought I did pretty decent. You tell me what you think. Have you read any of these? What did you think of the books? Yeah, I hope everyone's had a really good weekend. It's been absolutely beautiful weather here. We did hopefully what will be the final mowing of the yard yesterday, and we got all the leaves all mulched up. Of course, it got windy and a few more leaves fell, but for the most part, the yard is all cleaned up. My 4-year-old and my wife put out she's got this little penguin, blow up penguin, Christmas decoration that she put out in the lawn. So she's real excited about that. We got the Christmas lights all turned on, got final Christmas shopping done. We're doing really well here in the Ruttenberg household. We're all healthy again now that we've gotten past COVID. And my hope is that I can get a couple more videos done today, and then finish out Nonfiction November with some more nonfiction reading. I got a few of the books done that I wanted to. I did not get done nearly as much as I wanted to just because of being sick, but that's just the way it goes. And so thank you for watching BookTube. Look forward to I got a couple tag videos I'm going to do this week on probably Tuesday and Thursday is when I'm looking to do them. So look forward to those. And yeah, till next time. Happy reading.